Morning sunlight in New York streamed through the glass walls of Fifth Avenue, reflecting off the doors of Valora Luxe, the most luxurious cosmetic store in the city. Sierra Monroe stepped inside, tall, elegant, dressed in dark-wash jeans, a cream cashmere sweater, and Italian leather flats, without any visible logos. Simple, refined, no need for extravagance. Three glamorous white women entered after her Chanel jackets, Birkin bags, fur coats, despite the autumn weather. They were instantly swarmed by eager staff offering champagne and invitations to the VIP lounge, and Sierra ignored as if she didn't exist. She moved deeper into the store, stopping in front of the limited edition skincare display. She read the ingredients carefully like a scientist, not a casual browser. Bradley Kent, the store manager, appeared impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, silver hair slicked back, a smile as cold as steel. He approached her, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Do you need me to show you the way out? This isn't a museum for window shoppers." Sierra merely offered a faint smile. Bradley pressed on, his voice sharper. "These items require a significant financial commitment. Did you bring any proof of income?" The atmosphere inside the store suddenly grew thick and heavy. Sierra remained calm, but Bradley had already signaled to security. Two towering security guards moved in. A little boy nearby whispered, "Mom, why is that man kicking out Dora the Explorer?" Sierra didn't resist. She was dragged straight toward the glass doors. A gentle shove made her stagger slightly, but within a second she adjusted her sweater, lifted her chin, and walked away, wearing a smile so radiant it could have stirred the blue sky itself. Meanwhile, inside Valora Luxe, those who had mocked her still had no idea they had just signed their own downfall. Standing on the sidewalk of Fifth Avenue, the sunlight slanted through Sierra's hair, glinting like a lonely halo. She slowly pulled out her phone, her slender fingers adorned with a wedding ring, and a rare diamond worth as much as the entire building behind her glistened under the sun. Sierra dialed a number without hesitation. The phone barely rang 3 times before someone picked up. A deep, warm voice came through on the other end. "Sierra, what's wrong?" She took a breath, keeping her voice steady. "Graham, I was just trying to buy a serum today, but ended up getting a lesson in prejudice." Instead, silence. Then Graham's voice dropped deep and dangerous. "Store name, Valora Luxe. Manager's name is Bradley Kent." A single heartbeat passed. Then Graham said only 2 words, "Handle it." Inside a glass-walled office on the 52nd floor of Midtown Manhattan, Graham Carter, a man who could send the stock market reeling with a single nod, hung up the phone with a chilling calm. He turned to his assistant. "Gather the M&A team I want to own. Ascend Global Holdings before sunrise." The assistant swallowed hard. "Mr. Carter, that's a multi-billion-dollar corporation." Graham gave a faint smile, his eyes sharp as a blade. "I move faster than you ordered your coffee this morning." That night, as New York sank under the golden glow of its city lights, a multi-billion-dollar acquisition was set in motion, quietly, ruthlessly. No noise, no mercy, just Graham Carter taking action for the woman he loved, and an empire about to fall to its knees. 2:00 a.m. Inside a sealed conference room, the cold blue light from the monitors illuminated Graham Carter's steely face. Beside him, the legal and financial teams of Carter Enterprises worked like a whirlwind. Each stock purchase order for Ascend Global Holdings was dispatched fast, clean, and silent. No one outside of Graham's team knew that in just a few hours, the entire corporation behind Valora Lux would change hands. At 4:30 a.m., a short email was sent to the board of directors, Ascend Global Holdings. Carter Enterprises now officially holds 68% of shares. Transaction complete. Best regards. One email, one signature, and an empire had changed ownership. In the dim light of New York's breaking dawn, Graham stood by the window on the 52nd floor, gazing down at the empty streets below. His eyes betrayed no emotion, only a chilling calm. He texted Sierra, "It's done. Meet me at Valora Lux at 10 a.m. It's time to reclaim what's yours." Sierra replied with just 3 words, "See you there." At Valora Lux. The staff were going about their morning routines as usual. They had no idea that today their store wasn't just expecting customers. It was about to be hit by a storm that would sweep away everything they thought they knew. 9:58 a.m. in front of Valora Lux, the bustling foot traffic suddenly slowed. A charcoal-gray Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled silently up to the curb. Moments later, an identical Rolls-Royce glided in behind it, followed by 4 black Escalades lining up across the sidewalk, arranged with the precision of a military formation. A driver in a black suit stepped out and opened the door. Sierra Monroe emerged. She wore a pristine white suit, her hair swept into an elegant updo, accented by a single gold pin. No logos, no flashy jewelry, only the unmistakable presence of a woman who knew exactly what she was worth and what she was about to reclaim. Behind her, Graham Carter stepped out of the second Rolls-Royce clad in a perfectly tailored gray suit. Flanking them, a team of 12 senior aides, each carrying a portfolio embossed with the Carter Enterprises logo, fanned out like a disciplined battalion. Inside Valora, Lux chaos quietly began to stir. Staff peeked nervously through the glass doors. A female employee whispered, "Oh my God, that looks like Graham Carter, the billionaire, Graham Carter." Another stammered, "No way. What would he be doing here?" Bradley Kent, the store manager, overheard the whispers. He hurriedly straightened his tie, forcing a professional smile onto his face. But his hands trembled so badly, he knocked over his coffee cup, spilling it across the reception counter. 10 p.m. sharp. The glass doors swung open. Sierra entered. First, the sound of her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor, freezing the atmosphere in an instant. Following closely behind were Graham and the full Carter Enterprises team. No one spoke a word, but with every step they took, it was clear today the rules were about to change. Bradley rushed forward, forcing a stiff smile onto his face. "Welcome to Valora Lux. It's truly an honor to serve you, Mr. Carter." He extended his hand, hoping for a handshake. Graham glanced at the outstretched hand, cold as stone, then dismissed it with a single look. That look, in less than a second, crushed every last hope Bradley had clung to. Sierra remained silent. She simply stared directly at Bradley, her gaze calm, yet making him feel as though he were standing before a judge's bench. A silent storm was gathering. Valora Lux was about to face the full reckoning for the arrogance and prejudice it had sown. The atmosphere inside Valora Lux sank into a heavy silence. The entire staff stood frozen, holding their breath, watching a scene they had never witnessed before. Graham Carter stepped forward, his voice warm, yet edged with steel, I believe. "You met my wife yesterday." Graham's gaze shifted from Bradley to Sierra. the look of a man not only protecting the woman he loved, but fully prepared to crush anyone who dared to disrespect her. Bradley swallowed hard, struggling to force a crooked smile. "Oh, of course, if we had known the lady was a VIP guest, we would have provided more attentive service." Sierra stood motionless, her gaze steady, looking at Bradley as one would look at a broken chair, not a person worth any emotion. Graham raised his hand slightly. An aide stepped forward, placing a sleek black leather-bound folder embossed with the Carter Enterprises logo into Bradley's hands. Bradley fumbled it open, and his face drained of all color. Graham, his voice even and resolute, said, "As of 4:30 this morning, Carter Enterprises has acquired 68% of Ascend Global Holdings shares, which means we now own Valora Lux." A deadly silence fell over the room, and Bradley Kent, Graham continued, his gaze cold as steel. "You are officially terminated. Effective immediately." A pitiful cry escaped from Bradley's lips. "Please, sir, I've been loyal to this store for 12 years. I have a family, children who need school tuition." For the first time, Sierra spoke, her voice soft, yet sharp enough to cut glass. 12 years spent teaching people how to discriminate and look down on others, isn't that right? Mr. Kent, no need to shout, no need for anger. Just one sentence, and the entire store seemed to drop 10 degrees colder. A young employee near the counter whispered to a colleague, "Just a few days ago, Mr. Kent made me re-clean a smudge on the glass 3 times because a VIP was coming, and now it's the real VIP kicking him to the curb." Graham concluded crisply, "Security escort Mr. Kent out, no need for courtesy." 2 security officers from the Carter Enterprises team stepped forward and ushered Bradley away. This time, no one tried to stop them. No one showed sympathy. The glass doors closed behind Bradley Kent, ending 12 years of arrogance in a single morning. Valora Lux had just lost its old manager, but for Sierra Monroe, this was merely the opening act of a much bigger transformation. The doors clicked shut. Bradley Kent vanished from Valora Lux, as if he had never existed. But Graham Carter wasn't finished yet. For him, the roots needed to be torn out completely. Graham stepped into the center of the main hall, his deep voice resonating. All employees gather immediately. No one dared to argue. From the perfume counters, the skin care displays, and the VIP room staff hurried over their eyes, flickering nervously at one another. One of Graham's aides activated a large screen in the center of the hall. A soft blue glow illuminated the ceiling, casting light on every bead of sweat trickling down the employees' foreheads. On the screen, security footage began to play. Scene 1. An Asian woman entered and was ignored for a full 10 minutes, while a white customer who had just stepped inside was immediately surrounded by 3 eager associates. Scene 2. A black man in a suit walked in, only to be shadowed by security every step he took. Scene 3. A young Latina girl merely touched a lipstick tester and was promptly asked to leave to make room for real customers. The atmosphere turned suffocating. A young staff member, their face pale, whispered, "We're screwed. They have all the videos." Another employee forced a nervous laugh. "Think there's still a chance to sneak out the back." But the doors had already been locked. Carter Enterprises now controlled every exit. Graham spoke in a calm, even tone without raising his voice. This was not an isolated incident. This was a systemic culture of discrimination that has been nurtured inside this very store. He paused, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. And today, we are going to erase it. The climax. Graham gave a signal. 5 individuals representing a wide range of ethnic backgrounds who had previously been victims of discrimination at Valora. Lux stepped into the hall. They sat in the front row, their faces composed, their eyes razor-sharp. A black doctor, a Latino judge, an Indian executive, an Asian entrepreneur, and a social activist. One by one, they shared their stories of mistreatment, being ignored, being doubted, being pushed out. Their voices remained calm, but each word cut deep into the hollow pride that Valora Lux had once worn so proudly. A young female employee was on the verge of tears, whispering, "This morning, I was still complaining about running out of fragrance samples. Now I'm about to run out of a job, too." Graham ended with a single cutting sentence. Discrimination may not be written in your training manuals, but it is embedded in your daily actions, and today it ends. 3 months later, at the corner of 5th Avenue, where Valora Lux once cast its long shadow, a new energy now filled the air. The old sign had been taken down. In its place, gleaming gold under the sunlight, a new name stood proud against the glass facade. Legacy Inside. Everything had changed completely. Gone was the cold, arrogant atmosphere. Gone were the scrutinizing, judgmental stares. Legacy donned a modern, welcoming beauty. Bright stone floors, soft golden lighting, embracing every corner. Display shelves were lower, more accessible. Price tags were clearly listed, no more hidden prices, like before. New staff diverse in ethnicity. Of all ages, all body types, pinned on their chests were small name badges, each bearing messages like, "I speak Spanish," "I love vegan skin care," "I believe every skin deserves to be cherished." Standing proudly in the center of the store was Sierra Monroe, dressed in an elegant cream-colored suit, her eyes shining with pride. She was no longer the customer who got kicked out. She was now the creative director of the entire legacy Sistema dream, born from a day of discrimination. Outside, long lines of customers formed, ranging from successful entrepreneurs to young students, from locals to tourists. No one was judged. No one was assessed based on appearances. An elderly woman with silver hair dressed in a floral outfit stepped into Legacy looking around in wonder. "I used to just stand outside Valora Lux. Now I'm planning to walk in and try every serum they've got. You kids better brace yourselves." Laughter erupted from both staff and customers alike. The atmosphere was light, warm, and deeply human. Sierra stepped out in front of the entrance. She gazed at the Legacy sign, her eyes held not just pride, but a solemn reminder. True luxury isn't about excluding people. It's about making everyone feel they belong. Valora. Lux was dead. Legacy had been born. And the luxury industry would never be the same again. Meanwhile, just a few blocks away, inside a modest beauty store called Value Beauty, Bradley Kent stood hunched over, wearing a glaringly red vest, emblazoned with the slogan, "Ask me for assistance." The once proud face now looked haggard, his gaze dull behind a pair of discount eyeglasses he had picked up during a clearance sale. A young black woman approached, holding a bottle of foundation, and asked gently, "Do you have any foundation shades for darker skin tones?" Bradley immediately forced a wide smile, deep wrinkles creasing his cheeks. "Of course, we have up to 16 shades for darker skin. Let me help you pick the perfect one." Right after that, He clumsily dropped the entire color palette onto the floor, scrambling awkwardly to gather the bottles under the amused eyes of the customer. At Legacy, at that very moment, Caleb Monroe was leading a group of new employees through the showroom floor, holding a training board that read, "Luxury is inclusion. True. Luxury is compassion." She concluded the training session with one simple, powerful sentence. "Here, we don't look at the customers' wallets. We look at their hearts." 6 months later, Legacy exploded in success. Revenue surged by 34% compared to the old Valora Lux. The customer base was more diverse than ever before. Legacy became the first global luxury retail chain led by a person of color. And more importantly, it became a symbol of a new business world, beautiful, fair, and deeply humane. In a high-rise apartment as night blanketed the city, Graham and Sierra stood side by side, leaning against the balcony. Gazing down at the dazzling city lights, Graham whispered softly, "From one shove at a glass door, we toppled an entire outdated culture." Sierra smiled, resting her head on his shoulder, and built a legacy. A legacy, not just for themselves, but for everyone who had ever been dismissed, overlooked, or forgotten.